according to Fitch, a recruitment and HR advisory firm which covers the entire GCC region. Well, they've just published their Q2 2025 Gulf Employment Index, which tracks quarterly hiring trends across the region's key markets. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Dr. Trefor Murphy, who is the founder and CEO of Fitch. Thank you very much for coming to see us, Dr. Murphy.
Thank you.
Let's start by talking about Saudi Arabia. Seems like recruitment momentum in Q1 was a little bit faster than it was in Q2, but it seems to be steady. Is that a fair reading?
Yeah, I think a 2% increase quarter on quarter is still reasonably good nominal growth. As an average across the GCC, it was 1%. 4% in UAE, but 2% is pretty good, particularly when you look at seasonally adjusted 2 Eid breaks within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which are typically slightly longer than we would have in the UAE.
So that's what you would read into that slight lull in Q2?
Slight lull in Q2. There are a number of other factors as well. So what we've seen is there's been a change in direction around funding as some projects scale down slightly. We're seeing that other projects are very much coming to the fore, particularly time-sensitive, large-scale projects where will fundamentally change the Saudi perception, maybe internationally, with the likes of World Cup, Expo, Asian Games, etc. And they're certainly taking a significant component of the budget and the emphasis in terms of building out those projects.
Did you see growth kind of visible across most sectors, or were there some that were sort of outperforming, some that were underperforming?
Yeah, I think we so the 2% number is still modest, but still good growth. But I think there's been some real winners, particularly in Q2. So we've seen quite a significant jump in areas like financial services and banking, all performing very well. We've seen real estate as an overall number grow quite significantly, 4 or 5% in Saudi Arabia, so above the GCC average. We've seen areas like digital data and AI all performing very well. So there was a 4% average across the GCC. It was about a 7% increase in Saudi Arabia, so very, very strong numbers. Areas such as supply chain, logistics, all doing very well. The Ministry of Logistics and Transport, big transformation project. There's some really big announcements like DHL investing $500 million across UAE and Saudi. So a lot of activity. Private sector doing very well. Government either doing significant transformation projects, or areas like Ministry of Tourism and Culture, who have been busy for many years now, all performing very well and very strong outlook for the remainder of this year.
Sure. I mean, a lot happening on so many different fronts. I mean, just talking broadly about hiring trends across Saudi Arabia, is the kingdom managing to attract the talent it needs, do you think? Is that something you were able to deduce?
Yeah, look, I think Saudi, Riyadh, Jeddah, the giga projects and mega projects are internationally recognized and have been for many years. So we're seeing individuals that have really high expectations and how fast their career can develop are really looking at Saudi as a probably a number in the top 3 or 4 locations that we work in globally. So there's some very interesting interest, and that's typically for very top tier talent. Individuals that are out of London or working out of New York or Australia or Asian markets, really looking at Saudi, competing with Riyadh, competing with Dubai and Abu Dhabi very much now for talent.
And Dr. Murphy, when you speak to recruiters in Saudi Arabia, what sort of anecdotes are they telling you? What sort of gems of information are you able to get from those conversations about what the trends are in the market, where things are heading?
Look, I think there's a real need to make improvements and continue to grow the leadership qualities within Saudi, whether that's bringing talent in to support with that or developing leadership, ad hoc leadership type assessments or leadership type education processes. So I think leadership is one area that there's still some growth and demand in from the international markets, particularly as they come in. New technology, digital, AI, and even some of the areas around security and cyber. significant need for talent there as well. But the talent pool that is in Saudi and has been built over the last 5 or 10 years is now very significant and very, very capable of delivering for themselves. It's just where there's particular niche skills, or there's areas lined up with Vision 2030 where there's a very unique skill set required that they're bringing some talent in to support those, typically in advisor and SME type roles. And that's certainly a trend in the last 12 months. Rather than bringing in, a C-level person, they're bringing in advisors to support the talent that's already there.
Do you think there are a lot of misconceptions about the Saudi market when it comes to things like remuneration, the package? Do you think people are a bit sort of out of touch with the reality? Do you think there is a mismatch? Is that something that recruiters tell you?
Yeah, of course. Look, I think that the days of a significant increase to move to Saudi, 25, 30, 35%, those days are done typically. And there's some exceptions to that. But yeah, I think salaries are still very much in the top quartile globally in Saudi Arabia, and probably slightly ahead of the UAE and other GCC countries, but are still very, very attractive outside of the tax-free component of it, obviously. But and there's still some elements of additional compensation that gets paid in terms of relocation and those type of elements that maybe don't exist in other countries in the Gulf at the moment. So it is still very attractive. It's just not what it used to be. We used to describe the UAE as a hardship post many years ago. People would have said the same about Saudi, not anymore. Riyadh, Jeddah, and even some of the other regional cities are very much on map because there's significant career opportunities and advancement and earning potential.
Okay, just to wrap up this conversation, how would you describe the mood? I mean, what sort of words spring to mind when you think about the mood in the recruitment space, hiring decisions? What are people feeling, would you say, right across the GCC?
So I think I would say for the most part, cautious optimism. I mean, there's always a little concern around regional issues and how they impact on the GCC. We've seen no impact to date, thankfully, but from an economic and a jobs creation point of view. But I think overall we're very strong on where we see job creation this year, Saudi and UAE, and the others maybe slightly less bullish on. But I think overall, we're in a pretty strong position. The economic indicators are good. A bit of stability regionally, maybe an interest rate cut might be helpful. But as you said, investor sentiment is still quite strong. So as long as that continues, I think we'll have a very good 2025.
All right. Well, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, Dr. Trefor Murphy, founder and CEO of Fitch. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.